What's up, everybody? It's the movie guy. Well, I just got done watching the Mothman Prophecies, and I got in the mood to watch this because my friend Wyatt and my friend Lexi went to the Mothman Museum, which he snap video messaged me and sent me a picture of like the poster that was signed by the cast. It also he showed me like the telephone that was in Richard Gere's hotel room, um, and like the chapstick that was used in the movie. Not Laura Linney, Deborah Messing's like the piece of glass where she hit her head after crashing the car, um, when she saw the Mothman. Laura Linney's police officer jacket. So I thought that was really cool, and I haven't seen Mothman in a while, so um, I was like, I gotta watch the Mothman Prophecies. I remember when this movie came out in 2002. I saw it like 4 times in theaters. I love this movie. And if anybody's not familiar with the Mothman is people have seen the Mothman, uh, which described it as a big giant bird, like a moth like character, with red eyes, and the Mothman is always seen right before there is a big disaster, um, somewhere. So there, basically, the last part's based, you know, based on a true story where back in 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed on December 15th, and it was during rush hour. It happened at 4:58 p.m., where the Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And I guess supposedly there was a crack in the eye bar, and corrosion made the bridge collapse. 44 people lost their lives. I think 21 was rescued, and people have reported seeing the Mothman like a month before the Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant. There's also been reports. Let me pause it real quick. There's also was loosely reported sightings of um, the Mothman before the Chernobyl disaster. There's been sightings of the Mothman overseas right before major earthquakes. So I don't know why they changed it. Like they changed it because it was when Laura Linney's character, when the firefighter came to um, Richard Gere, and he's like, John, it's bad. He's like 36 people lost their lives, and Laura Linney says, "Wake up, number 36," because she was 37. Because she had earlier in the movie, she tells Richard Gere's character John that she had a dream about how she was like in the water, and she was like she basically felt like she was dying, and she said, "Wake up, number 36," and then when she hears that from the firefighter, she's just like, "Oh my gosh." So um basically the movie, if you've never seen the movie, Richard Gere plays John Klein, and Deborah Messing is his wife, Mary, which um John Richard Gere's character is a writer for the Washington Post, and they go look at a house. And as they're driving back from looking at the house, Deborah Messing's character, Mary, sees something coming at her in the car, and then kind of swerves as she hits her head um, on the glass, and find out, she goes to the hospital and find out like she has like some type of tumor or something, that it's like one out of 650,000. And somehow after that, after the grieving, and he's still grieving, he ends up in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, has no recollection of even driving to Point Pleasant, and ends up uh, the front of the house of Will Patton's character, Gordon, walks in, knocks on the door because his car starts, you know, acting weird. Gordon pulls him in the house, and it's got holding a gun toward him in the shower and stuff. And Laura Linney's character, she's the police officer, comes in, and then uh, Gordon's telling Laura Linney's character that he's shown up every night, at 2:30 at the same time and stuff. And then uh, there's other people. Laura Linney tells you know Richard Gere's character John that people have had some weird sightings and stuff in Point Pleasant and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, you know uh Gordon gets a message from, I think, Adrian Cole is supposedly the spirit or something. Maybe it's the Mothman, I don't know, and says that, that this number of people are gonna die. And then they're um they're at a coffee shop and find out that there was this plane crash, and that this many exact people died. And then he gets another you know phone call or a meeting with Ender and Cole, and said that these 300 people were gonna die. And then the next day there was the earthquake somewhere in Ecuador where 300 people died and stuff. And then Richard Gere starts getting phone calls from him and having weird stuff happen to him, and seeing visions of his wife, or people. Laura Lynn's character sees his wife, and then he gets this basically premonition that that something is going to happen on the River Ohio, because it's connected. It's West Virginia, so connected to Ohio. And then they show which is supposed to be the Silver Bridge collapsing, and the cars going in the water, which actually really happened. But in the movie, it happened on Christmas Eve. But like I said, it happened December 15th, during rush hour. So, I mean, it is a interesting, uh, a really cool movie. I think it's an epic movie. I think it's fantastic. I've always had a fantastic time watching this. It's a 10 out of 10. I think it's an epic, fantastic movie. I've always been so interested in the Mothman. I've watched 2 or 3 documentaries about the Mothman, interviews of people who live in West Virginia who have spotted the Mothman, and I guess Mothman was spotted like 2 years ago and last year. At the end of the movie, said Mothman has never been spotted again in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. There's actually been a couple sightings, like last year, of the Mothman in West Virginia, and there's been a couple of sightings in Rockford, Illinois, of the Mothman. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the Mothman showing up again, that there's going to be another big disaster somewhere. But a lot of people like kind of write it off like, oh, it was a bird that people did not recognize or something. I don't know. I feel like there could be something out there, like some entity, some demon that shows up right before a natural disaster. But anyway, yeah, this is an awesome movie. I love Richard Gere in this. I'm not the biggest Richard Gere fan, but he's great in this. Deborah Messing, Laura Linney's fantastic. Will Patton. But yeah, I've always loved this, and the score. Tom Dandy does the score, a fantastic score. But yeah, it's the movie guy. Have a great night.